going to have our next presenter. She is Annela Kiirats, who is the Program Director of e-Governance Training Domain for the e-Governance Academy. Annela, are you ready for us?
Afternoon to you. Warm greetings from Estonia. I feel like a godmother to this this training because I've been part of it. I think more or less all years. So really happy to be here again. The plan for the next hour or approximately an hour is to elaborate a bit more on Estonian experience on creating digital society in general, and also talk a bit about our 30 years of journey to digital government, but also explain some of the aspects why Estonia is known as one of the leaders in digital government and the solutions what we have in place. So hopefully you will get some good thoughts, and feel free to if you don't ask questions right away, then later you can also send me your questions. So one sentence about myself. I've been working at e-Governance Academy for approximately 20 years. So my first contact with digital government as such actually started in 1999 when I decided that I will go and study IT at the university, because for Estonia, late 90s, we were like new in the field. We had done something already, but the informatics and IT and this kind of public management was one of the way forwards for many young students back then. So my role at EGA is mostly about putting together different digital government trainings based on the scoping of like what is currently in the country, what are the plans for the country, and from which angle we should talk about digital government. So I'm happy that this program also provides you this international view as well. So first, like the way we went digital in Estonia, as I mentioned, we started already in 90s because we regained our independence from Soviet Union in 1992, after which it was like a standing point which direction to take, because we are again new, independent, like ready to go country. So our golden key was towards digital government. So it started the practical showcase for citizens was when our cabinet decided to go digital. So they got rid of all papers in cabinet meetings, and customized solution for the cabinet meetings was implemented, meaning that all agenda items are in computers, not on paper. So we also save the environment, not cutting the trees and not wasting the paper that needs to be to garbage later. So the Prime Minister of Estonia back then was like really bold-minded in that sense that digital is a way forward, and we were lucky in that sense that the same understanding has been there throughout the years. So no one has wanted to go back to square one or doubted that digital is something that we do not need. And I think the whole world during COVID time understood that digital is really has really critical meaning, because when you cannot go to you cannot sit together in one room as you do it now, then you still need to do your work. You need to get access to your documents, you need to sign, you need to exchange documents, and all these activities have to have legal meaning or legal basis. So including our students in schools. So if you cannot go to school, you still have to study. So you cannot skip a year because it's COVID. So many countries understood that even if we were not ready to start our digital journey, yes, there was a wish, but now we see that very concrete steps have been made. In terms of Estonia's digital society backbone, I like to say that the approach is still digital by default mindset, in a way that it's digital first, but not digital only. So if there is still somebody who would like to interact with a person in service hall, they can do it. So local governments have their one-stop shops, but majority of interaction or transactions when we talk about e-banking is made, 99 point is made online. Of course, in order to create this interoperability ecosystem, we need our registers digitized and the principles and standards in place. So one thing is to digitize data, but it has to be reusable. It has to have a meaning, and we have to have agreements to exchange data, first, of course, government to government, and later on government to citizen and government to business as well. We have to have strong electronic identity, because we need to guarantee that the person who is also signing into different environments is the person who they claim to be. And there has to be possibility also to digitally sign documents, so make your legal decisions digitally as well. Very important aspect is in terms of legal framework, Estonia has always been in a position that we don't create a separate e-government law because it's the same world. It's just the means are different, so we cannot create two parallel worlds for people in terms of service provision. Secure environment for data exchange has to be in place, so we call it X-Road. X meaning that it's like cross communication between different entities, and also when we talk about security by design, meaning that that this decentralized solution that X-Road is, we start with data security already by each entity themselves, and we don't have this central one huge database to keep all the data by which we would create significant security risk. So this is why we keep data decentralized, but we have centralized solution to exchange data. Cybersecurity, of course, very often there is understanding that this is some standalone like piece or something that sits in a corner, but this has to be as one logical part of digitalization. And when we talk about different systems and securing data, but also cyber attacks and reporting about cyber attacks, because this is also not only a government matter, but also based on the this NIS directive, EU level cybersecurity directive, stating that how private sector and public sector should cooperate. So when there is a cyber attack towards private sector, especially when we talk about critical service providers, energy companies, banks, then obviously they have to report about the attack. So the third team, of course, is the one who is managing computer emergency response team, who is handling these attacks, but cyber attacks are not, or like not attack, but cyber security as such is not a matter of government only. Every entity has to take care of their cyber requirements. And of course, the final part is awareness and digitally literate people, because there is no point to create digital society or digital government or provide e-services when you don't have users for your e-services. So we also started with this like in a very by educating people how to use computers, later on how to use e-services. What is this tool that you keep in your hands, ID card that has electronic identity as well, and being aware of the developments in government about digitalization, and also what are the new developments available, or e-services also available. So it's constant process, not only one-time activity. So when we talk about e-governance, we don't talk only about e-government. This is why I highlighted with the blue that we talk about e-governance, meaning that it's not only public sector providing services, it's also about engaging people, making them aware of what this digital is. So it's also like it's about public administration and democracy and engagement. Sustainability. So this e-governance is not political decision or political leadership. So first, yes, the decision must come top down. So there has to be clear will and understanding that digital government is needed, and is something that we will work on constantly in the future. But you have to also provide sustainability for the developments, meaning that implementation must be brought down to lower levels or administrative level, and not keep it as a political playground. Digitization of data, creating databases. So in order to create the prerequisites for secure data exchanges, that we have this data electronically available. So we get rid of piles of paper, we archive those, or in some cases we can get rid of paper totally, when we can guarantee that these digitized documents are in safe hands in digital data houses. So communication and common discussions. If we talk about central coordination of digital government, then obviously one ministry, or very often we start the coordination from Prime Minister's office. It's not the only institution who makes the decisions and does the planning, but it's about engaging other government entities, creating different working groups, committees, so different stakeholders are engaged. And also it would be good to engage academia if there is a private sector, strong private sector in a country, then also from the beginning engaging private sector, so you can outsource different IT solutions from them as well. And as I mentioned, it's about engagement, so civil society organizations, or at least representative organizations of civil society should be also engaged. So to understand how citizens are expecting public services to provide it to them and to hear them back. And really important is also to provide logical and simple processes. So if there is a need to go from paper to digital, the same service, it's not possible that we copy paste the service from paper to digital. We have to rethink all the processes and ask as little as possible from the citizen, create government to government processes to collect data for the citizen for the service that entities are providing. And for the end user, it has to be very simple and understandable. The text should be easy reading. The navigation should be logical, because if it's too complex, if I have to pay for e-service, or I don't understand some text, then obviously I'm not using it. So I go back to paper. So we have to have changes with these e-services. Just to mention before, in the meantime, that if you have any questions, feel free to put these into tasks so I can see those and answer those also. So one very big issue is trust among different stakeholders. Mostly what I get from my delegations, how we gain trust. People don't trust the government. Even government entities want to make their own duplications of data. They don't want to rely on somebody else's data. So this is again a change of mindset that has to become normal, that we agree who is the main keeper of which data, and then we are under legislation, under service agreements. We start using each other's data in order to provide better services for the citizens. So in order to create trust, again, there has to be services we provide must be simple. Citizen must must be proven that digital government is more secure. The data is securely kept. Our personal data is exchanged only based on legal agreements and different laws. That services are saving our time. And also not only the time when I apply as a citizen for a service, but it's a time saver also in government to government communication, because in many cases we also, even in Estonia, sometimes back when we used paper, of course, that in order to make a decision on to somebody, when they applied for a service, then this paper is traveling from one desk to another. and this paper might be left on a desk for a longer period than it should. So this digital process takes away these like timely issues as well. So money, obviously, it has to be more cost effective. Like in the beginning for the government, it is costly, but over time, when solutions are implemented, the service itself becomes much more cheaper to provide, and also it has to be cheaper in general for end user as well, meaning that I don't have to travel somewhere to get my service. I don't have to explain my not existence, but we know in some cases there might be these personal evaluations that if you look too poor, or if you somehow you are disliked by the service provider, then you might not get the same equal service as others. So again, the digital takes that away, so nobody is giving you a personal evaluation. So for traveling, to not pay for the service, to not pay for printed forms and such. So in Estonia, we made a decision that public services must be free of charge for the end users. Transparency, digital creates much bigger transparency moment, because understanding the need to give citizens more rights, in that sense that I have a right to see how my data is used. So in our case, I can see all logs or requests that are made on my data on behalf of different government entities. So as we say, we are the owners of the data, meaning that I have a right to see how my data is used, but ownership does not mean that I have a right to delete or amend data myself, but creating the transparency how the data is used. It has to be flexible, so meaning that e-service provision or service provision by government, it's not 9 to 5, it's 24/7. So and it doesn't have time limits, it doesn't have geographical limits. So if I come to Ghana, for example, I can still get my services from Estonia as Estonian citizen. I can still vote online. I can apply for a new passport digitally. So flexible in terms of time and place. And obviously automation, meaning that I don't have to fill in all applications from zero. So some requests must be automated when I start applying for a service. And this automatic data gathering from different government entities to that one that's providing service, and then based on that data, they can already evaluate whether there is nothing else I should insert as the one who applies for a service, and how much data I need to insert, and making decision on top of that. So meaning that data should be quality data in different databases, what we are using, and no government entity should doubt whether the data what I'm retrieving from other entity, is it quality or is it up to date or is it true or not. So okay, now my Next, electronic identity. Let me just check in between. There are no questions. Okay. So identity management, one of the main things in terms of digital government. So we have to understand that identity management should be responsibility of the government, and meaning that there should be most important base registers in place, including population registry, where you have full overview of your citizens, and then move on to residents and temporary residents, so students, whoever, but mostly to have a full overview of your citizens, because when you provide service, you provide service for all your citizens, not only part of them. It is state responsibility to keep data updated, and really critical is about births and deaths, because you make decisions based on that, whether a person exists or is alive or not. State responsibility for centralized identity management, and this is, I think, one of the important success factors in Estonia as well, that we have one unique identity code, and this is, we call our digital name in different databases, meaning that this code is linked to all different data sets in different entities. Like the usual cases that countries have their own social security numbers, taxpayers number, I don't know, some number in immigration, so different numbers, and field by field, those numbers are used only there. But in our case, it's centrally provided, so the key to my data is my unique code. State responsibility to verify a person. So the first time you apply for a document, or first time you need to verify yourself, has to be by the state. And already the next phase is about identification of a person. This is service-based, but verification, meaning that this is me and only me. It has to be done by professionals, and the government or state needs to guarantee that, yes, this is Annela Kiirats. She's so many years old. She lives there. Her parents and her children and her husband is that. So all this information linking to one person. And critical factor here is that state has to guarantee that all unique codes that are issued, one person equals to one number. So if by mistake one person has two numbers, or there are two persons between one number, again, you cannot provide quality service. The next thing is about different tokens. Different countries have their own solutions when they want to go digital and provide electronic identity. In our case, we started with the identity document as physical document as well. So we combined physical and electronic. As I mentioned earlier, it cannot be two different worlds. So by default, when you apply for ID card, we get card with a chip, and we get those certificates on the chip, meaning that I can activate my digital me. One is ID card. Then the next one, what we implemented, or actually the initiative came from private sector, because if I travel to Ghana, for example, then I need my passport, not ID card. And while I'm there, I might need to sign a document. I might need to identify myself in different systems. So what if I don't have an ID card or ID card reader? So there should be some other tool I can log into different environments and sign. So mobile-based solution was implemented 2007. The ID card in Estonia is from 2002. And that was a SIM card based solution. So a separate SIM card with cryptographic features put on your mobile. You activate your mobile identity with your ID card. So meaning that the ID card that is issued by government and you were already verified, now you verify yourself via other tool. But whatever is the token as such, they are all linked to the same person. And the third example is Smart ID, but this is application, meaning that you have to have smartphone in order to get Smart ID. And that again came later, 2017. So meaning that by that time, majority of people already had smart IDs, so you don't create any digital divide among people that when you start with mobile ID or application-based solution, and actually more than half of your people don't have the smartphones, then you just cannot implement this solution. And mobile ID that was SIM card based, this is SMS messaging, meaning that you don't have to have smartphone. It can be any type of phone that has SIM card in it. And today, what we suggest to countries is that you have to think about your society, your needs, your what type of token is the best, and what tokens people accept the easiest. So to conclude the digital identity part, wherever government entity I go or which entity I want to interact, it's the same digital identity everywhere, and including private sector, because we also need to interact with private sector, banks, telcos, different companies, and companies also, if there is some solution that is already verified by the government, meaning that this is really secure and trusted solution, it's very easy to adopt it into private sector as well. Card in similar format, meaning that if we have ID card type of physical identity as well, it should be like again simple logic. So the same for children, the same for adults, the same for any role you might have. So it is not role based; it's physical person based identity. And why I highlighted this is that the simplicity in a way that if card is valid for 5 years, and during that 5 years a child becomes an adult, then you don't have to go and apply for a new card. You can start using the existing card already. So there's no children card or grown-up card or pensioner card. So it's the same card for everybody. Chip is not the storage, meaning that it's unsafe to keep too much data on the chip. Data must be in different registers and must be requested upon a need only. The other aspect on legal side is that the authentication and signing are two separate legal actions, meaning that we need two separate keys, two separate PIN codes to do those actions. So if I just log in, I need one PIN. If I make a legal decision on signing or making like a strong decision on something, then it's another action. So two different legal actions. In our case, what I think that was really a good decision when we apply for ID cards, government also is providing email address, meaning that they don't have to know that I have EJ, Hotmail, Gmail, Yahoo, whatever email address. When government is providing me email address in a format unique code at estonia.ee, then my role is to activate this email. And whenever government entities want to send you any message, any document, create interaction, then they are using this government provided email, and I receive it to my forwarded address. That can be any Gmail, Hotmail, whatever mailbox. Price also, our solution or our decision was that at first, when you have to convince people that there is a new document needed for the future e-citizen role, then people don't want to pay too much for that card. They don't understand why they need, because before ID card, we also had passports, social security cards, different documents, student cards in schools and universities. But government reduced the price as much as possible in the beginning, and after becoming into full power in providing e-services and having digitally literate people, you can go back to actual costs of the card production. Again, service as such to apply a card is free of charge, as this is public service, but we pay for the production costs for the card. And really important also is to have user manuals, awareness, support, and support is also 24/7, not only a couple of hours per day, but whatever happens, I have to be sure that whenever and from wherever I call, I get my answers. So, do you have any questions regarding identity or electronic identity? I don't see any questions, but yeah, again, feel free to let me know if you have questions. I know you're thinking about food, but quickly some other aspects as well. So to move on data exchange. So this is the second really important big part or piece of digital government. So when we have data digitally available, then in order to exchange it, we have to agree on rules and procedures. So questions why government institutions need to exchange data. The simple answer is to provide public services in convenient and secure way to the citizens. And to do that, we have to improve our public government-to-government processes. Secure data exchange, we call it X-Road, as I mentioned, cross-communication, and this X actually comes from XML, but this is like the more illustrative is X, like cross-communication or cross-sharing of data. This is how our X-Road looks like. So it's decentralized, as I mentioned. We exchange data over open internet, but data is encrypted. So it's peer-to-peer communication, meaning that one party asks, the other party answers. So for one query, only two parties are involved. So asking and answering. Both sides are logging the communication. The security servers are logging the communication. So meaning that we can, if needed, we can prove later that this interaction took place. And yes, those two parties communicated. So, and the security by design, meaning that we already start securing our data sets in different entities, and obviously the data in the database must be encrypted itself. And when we talk about exchanging data, then there are security servers in between as well. But before getting to this network to exchange data, there is this central monitoring or central responsible authority to make sure that this environment is up and running and different counterparts can communicate. But to become a member of the X-Road, you need to obviously first apply for it. So you describe what data you have, which services you provide, and do you need also data from others? So are you a consumer or also provider? And then there are different entities that need to give approval, including Data Protection Agency, if you keep personal data, so to make sure that you are processing that data correctly. Then there are service agreements between entities that the principle is that you are allowed to ask data only for your service that you provide, not some additional data just in case or out of curiosity, but only for the service you provide. When we started with X-Road, that was government to government only, but very soon we understood that private sector also needs data from government to provide quality services. And when they have legal reason to ask that information, then obviously private sector should also be included into this data exchange network. And by statistics, we see that majority of query come today from private sector, because it can be simple asking about address or simple yes or no answer from government entities. For example, if a private sector is providing a service that needs confirmation whether, let's say, a person lives somewhere or not, whether that person lives in my region or not. So the government does not give address of that person, but just gives yes or no answer. And this is sufficient for the service provider. X-Road is based on X-Road regulation. So if, for example, population register, we have a separate law because this is one of the most critical registers that is there. And in the law, we describe exactly what data is gathered and how data is exchanged. But for technical solutions as X-Road, regulation is enough. So meaning that this is confirmed by respective ministry and it's not a law passed by the parliament. Really important is that what I just mentioned, that data sharing is logged. So, and also if, let's say, population register and vehicle register are exchanging data on me, then I have a right to see that the vehicle register asked data from population register. And to conclude on secure data exchange is, as I mentioned, it's not government to government only, it's also government to business. What we really need is numeric identifiers, meaning that every person has unique ID code. Every company has unique code. Every land parcel or building has unique code. So based on that, we can make sure that we don't make mistake if, for example, I want to do some legal transactions with like, let's say, some agricultural lands somewhere across the country, then it's not only by the name of that land parcel, but it has unique code. So I can make sure that this is exactly that land what I'm talking about. The same with companies. Every ministry, every company, every NGO, every school, they have their own unique number. Data protection, we have to make sure that the personal data that is kept in different databases, this is handled in the highest security based on very concrete legal actions and rules. We need quality data in order to make correct decisions. So this is why there is a huge burden and responsibility on different entities to make sure that the data they are collecting and updating and sharing is quality data. Maybe you have heard about this once only principle. So meaning that once we have these prerequisites fulfilled, that we can exchange data starting from government to government again, in order to provide services for citizens, then we can start practicing once only, meaning that government entity, whichever entity it might be, from where you need services, they are not allowed to ask you the same data over and over again. So, for example, if you change your place of residence, then this information is updated in population register. And now when you go to some government entity to apply your service where your address data is needed, that government entity has no right to ask you to fill in some documents again. They have to ask it over the X road from population register where that person lives. And they are sure that this information is the latest up-to-date information. Data maintenance principles, again, who is the main keeper or main processor of what kind of data? So we want to get rid of data duplications. So again, when all the extra members or all government entities, they know that when I have to check about like land ownership, I go to real estate register. If I want to know about citizenship, marital status, address, children, connection with children, then I go to population register. And that clearance have to be there. So you are not allowed to duplicate or keep your own version of data every time you start some process in service. Then you have to ask latest updated information from the main source. Transparency, data ownership, I mentioned. I'm the owner of my data. I have a right to see how my data is used, and government has to provide me this overview. Strong identification, of course. Is it a citizen who applies for a service, or is it civil servant who is providing service? We all need to identify ourselves in different systems. And my role is assigned in a system, not on my identity token. So I might have 7 different hats. I'm a doctor, I'm a policeman, I'm a teacher, I'm a parent, I'm a whoever. Then in different systems, I have different rights and roles. And data exchange must work 24/7. Again, if I need a service, I can do it whenever and from ever I want. And the third part is about citizens. So what do end users need? What do we as citizens need? Is first of all, we started very long time ago in early 2000s already with understanding that if like government is not, or government entities or these service centers or service offices should not be open and crowded with civil servants who provide services to repeat the same answer again and again. So we took another approach that that just give me 1 second. Yes, we took approach that we publish as much information as possible, and we provide websites in similar formats because people have the visual memory mostly, meaning that if I go to one ministry website and then to another, I assume that this other ministry that is the same level government organization has a similar view. So I don't have to start looking the context or news or some information from totally different parts, and approach that as few clicks as possible to get most important information. And most important information is the table of contents. So what is in the stomach of that frog, meaning that what information is available on the website, contact information, and also some like a task of that government entity. And also based on Public Information Acts, how much and what information is available. And our approach is that all information is available that is not restricted information, meaning that we are not giving out or publishing one by one piece of data, but we should have approach that we have most of the information published, but what cannot be published, what has some restrictions, then it should be like locked or not published. One-stop shops, meaning that one point to get information. I don't have to run between different government entities to get one service. I should go to one either physical service hall or one point or one access gate, one gate in digital world, but I don't have to memorize or think which website or which office is the correct one. I go one place, I get my services there, or I will get directed to specific entity. Again, we need very simple steps to use public services. We need to identify ourselves securely, and we need to have electronic signature, obviously with timestamp as well, stating that exactly at that time I signed a document. And in Estonia, we have the highest security standards, meaning that electronic signature is equal to handwritten signature, so it has the same legal meaning. And we also need support, again, all the time. If I have any questions, how to use a service, where to find the service, what should I do now when I need something, then there is a support center. And today we talk about, obviously, these chatbots. If you go to government entities website, then this chatbot opens up, asks, can I help you, or frequently asked questions, or you put a keyword and the AI gives you answers already. And why digital skills and awareness is needed. So we as citizens, we have to understand the importance of e-services to understand the meaning of the powerful tool we hold in our hands. And it's similar to our house key, that I don't give it to a stranger. The same with our identity documents and PIN codes, that I keep those separately. I don't give my PIN codes and documents away to somebody. We have to know that we have a right to ask if my data and why my data was used, and the same once only principle. Public Information Act I mentioned, so this is stating that what kind of information must be available. And really important is that the digital the skills and the knowledge starts from education, meaning that we have to make sure that our schools, at some point, our kindergartens, obviously our universities later, they provide us the best knowledge on digital as possible. And we started in 90s with making sure that all schools have computer classes with internet. Our IT teachers have wider view as educational technologists, not only like how to type, but how to use different software in different subject teaching. And additionally, we provided free of charge computer classes or how to use e-services for all citizens who were interested. So they just signed up for 2-day course, like what feature, like what creature this computer is, and what can I do with my ID card? How can I sign? How can I make different transactions? And distance learning also today is really important, because when there are some restrictions, I cannot sit in a classroom, then I have to be able to do it from a distance. And example of services, I mentioned this one-stop shop, meaning that all life events or all services are in one place. And our approach is life event based, meaning that I don't have to know the name of a service or again who is providing the service. I get the overview of different life events. For example, if I've fallen ill, what I have to do, what my family doctor has to do, whom I have to call, who has to send the sick leave documents to where, then I can use those directly from here. And the transparency I mentioned, this is the log file, meaning that I can see that who requested for my data and when. And if I don't understand why somebody, some entity name is here, then based on a law, I have a right to ask that why my data was used. And by the law, they have to answer me within 5 working days. In case there are any delays in responding, then Data Protection Agency is the middleman here, who is helping me to get my answer. And this is all regulated by the law. And the final slide is I just selected some of the life events of our life cycle that we connect with digital. So birth of a child, from the moment the child is born, and the medical service provider in the hospital, a responsible doctor, is inserting the gender and the date of birth of a child, automatically sending that request to population register from where the unique code is created. This is automated process. The code sent back to the hospital. So basically, a few minutes after the birth of a child, the child already has a digital name. And when parents give the real name to a child, then the code and name are linked in population register. So it's now a standalone person. When we talk about proactive services, then going to a kindergarten and going to school, so local government services, this is something that local government can already prevent, meaning that they request from population register, give the list of children in my local government who are between age 2 and 6, so who should go to kindergarten, and to 6 until 18 who are in primary and high school. And based on that, local government can also make decisions whether, like, how to plan public transportation, whether how many children will go to school, and proactive, meaning that they are already sending me as a parent a message that your child is now 6 or 7 years old, they should go to school, and this is the closest school based on your address data. Do you want to take your child there? And local government has to guarantee that every child gets a school place. Voting, internet voting is used since 2005. So this is what we have been practicing for almost 20 years now, very successfully. My health records are available for me online. All the prescriptions or medical history and the responses also go via this my personal office, so-called. So the doctor does not call me back, but inserts the results into that environment. And when I log in, I can see the results. The only time when a doctor contacts me is by the phone is when they call me back, meaning that there is something wrong. But otherwise, they just put the answer there. Buying a car, it's totally like e-service between buyer and seller. We sign in, we make the transaction, we sign the decision, and then we transfer the ownership. Tax return was first e-service in 2000. That was like country-wise solution, really convenient. Today it takes like 5 minutes because tax board has already collected all my tax information for me. I just need to check and sign. Getting married is 50-50. So I apply for getting married online, but luckily the final yes is still next to each other physically. And going to a pension as well. Government knows when you go to a pension, and based on that, they start the process. So you are eligible for state pension. And also, if you have gathered some additional funds, then they are calculating the pension for you, just notifying you that this is a pension you will get. And passing away, the last one is again, when the medical institution is declaring death of a person, then this death certificate, a digital document, is sent to population register from where the data is updated that that person has passed away. So that was really quickly about the Estonian experience on digital society. So if you have any questions, you have my contacts, or you can share it via the organizers. So thank you very much for your attention. I know that it was somewhat useful, and hopefully we'll see again with some of you either next year or somewhere else or in Estonia. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Annela. That was a great presentation. We appreciate it. And we appreciate that you've been with us for all the 5 years that we've organized this training. And we are really grateful. A hand of applause for her once again.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you too. Okay, so the e-governance in our name at GhanaSIG, that's what e-governance is about. So we wanted you to have a feel of e-governance.